السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وأرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه وأدخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين آمين يا رب العالمين. Welcome everybody to another halqa of Fiqh of Financial Transactions, and today, inshallah, we'll be covering the topic of sharika. But before we begin, which is partnerships, companies, before we begin, we always like to start with some muraja'a. And the questions we want to answer today are these ones. Number one, we talked about last week al-wakala. What is wakala? Someone explain to me wakala, the concept of wakala in your own words. Okay, تفضل.
Someone delegates another person to do certain job for them.
Naam, someone delegates somebody to do a job for them. That is wakala, agency, right? This is what it is. You want someone to do a task for you, and they do it for you. That is basically what al-wakala is, right? And so we have now a muwakkil and a wakil. Who's the muwakkil? The one who is delegating, the delegator, the muwakkil, right? He's the delegator. And who's the wakil? Right? The one who's doing the work, the one who's doing the task. Tamam? طيب. What are some examples of an invalid wakala? We said al-wakala, we can do it in most things in buyu', but there's some things you can't. You can't wakkil. Naam. Yeah, you can't ask someone to, hey man, I'm going to be busy next week, so I need dhuhr asr, done, and fajr if you can. No, you can't do that. What else? There are other things, like what? Can you tell someone to go divorce for you? Can you tell someone to do dhihar for you? Remember dhihar? We talked about dhihar. Huh? So so we said anything that kind of like li'an, anything that goes back to your own saying, okay? Like li'an is when the husband and wife, right? They're accusing each other of something, and then they start taking oaths, right? So oaths, li'an, dhihar, these things that come out of your mouth and you're responsible for them, you can't delegate them. So there's a few things that you can't delegate, okay, do wakala on. Jamil, what kind of contract is a wakala contract? We just talked about this like 5 minutes ago. We said there's two kind of contracts, al-lazim wal-jaiz, binding, non-binding. The wakala, is it binding or non-binding? Non-binding, it's jaiz, okay? Jaiz yani, any one of them can break it anytime. Tamam? If I'm like, you know what, I think this guy is trustworthy, khalas, you know what, never mind, don't do this for me, okay? I'm not gonna pay you for this task. Or the other guy says, you know what, forget it, this is way too far to deliver, I'm not gonna go deliver this, okay, I can't do it.
I thought you said binding is like if the wakil do something you have, whatever he's done, it's binding. Because if he sells your car, you cannot say no.
Binding lazim, يعني none of the two parties can go back on their word, يعني can cancel the contract unless the other one permits. That's what binding means.
If he made a sale, he cannot go back and say no, this sale is cancelled.
Yeah, if you make a sale, you can't go back and be like, khalas, I want to cancel the sale, unless you qualify for one of the options, the khiyar that we mentioned. Khiyar al-aib, khiyar al-ghabn.
In this case, it's binding. They cannot
Binding, you can't, yeah. And we said unless the other person forgives, right? We talked about it, and there's a great word for those who who let these things go. Wallahu alam. طيب. So the last question I wanted to mention is the muwakkil considered an amin or a damin? Like his hand is a yad amana or yad daman? What does that mean? يعني the muwakkil. Did I mean the muwakkil or the wakil? The wakil I meant, the wakil. The wakil, the one who's doing the task. So is he someone who's considered an amin, a trustee, or someone who's a guarantor? Amin, right? Amin. So he's someone who, if something happens to whatever he's doing, if there's some damage or loss, and it's not from his negligence or his shortcoming, then he doesn't guarantee. Tamam, he doesn't guarantee, just like someone who is, just like someone who's, we mentioned a few examples. What's another example of someone who's ameen? Like someone who's holding a wadi'a, right? Someone who's holding something for you, or the person who's holding your rahan, right? The one who lent you, right? The lender, he's holding a rahan for you, مثلا, in case you don't get pay back. Something happens to the rahan, is he responsible? No, he has a yad amana. طيب, جميل. Let's go into sharika. So our next topic is a sharika. When I say sharika to you, this is a very common word. What does it mean by that? Company, partnership, business, تمام. طبعا this word it means when there's one or two or more people involved in something, right? The word shirk, right? The biggest ظلم, yeah. The biggest dhulm, the biggest type of a person is shirk, right? Partners, to associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes from the same word, shirk, right? Because you're associating partners with Allah. It's a partnership, right? You're associating your ibadah to other than Allah or with Allah, right? That's a type of shirk, and that's a major sin, and that can take someone out of Islam. And the one who commits shirk, who dies on shirk, cannot enter Jannah. But here we're talking about business, okay? Totally halal. So sharika. They say sharika. So faslun, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Faslun fi sharika, right? He starts speaking about sharika. He says here, وهنا وهي هنا اجتماع في تصرف. طبعا this is the footnotes of Sheikh Ahmed al-Quaimi, and he says that الشركة is اجتماع في تصرف. So basically just a joint authority in management or something, تمام, or liability. It's just a partnership, basically, okay? A partnership, and we're talking about business. And he says here that وَالشَّرِكَةُ خَمْسَةُ أَضْرَابٍ. Okay, the sharika is 5 different types. The author here, he skips something, okay, which you would study in a more intermediate matan, that technically sharikat are split in 2 kinds, okay, partnerships. So you have partnerships, sharikatul amlak, okay, al-milk, what's milk? Ownership, right? Not milk, the one you drink. Milk in Arabic is ownership, right? Ana amliku shay, right? Allah is al-malik, the owner, tamam. So sharikatul amlak is when you both own something. Okay, you own a piece of land, he owns 40%, you own 60%. That's one type of ownership. And then there's, that's one type of partnership. Sharikatul amlak. So we have sharikatul amlak, and we have sharikatul uqud, right? Contractual partnerships, or partnerships in contracts, tamam. And that's the one that we're talking about, okay? There's not much to talk about when it comes to property. You own 60%, he owns 40%, okay? It's not, there's nothing to really mention. They don't talk about it here in the beginner books. But the main one we're going to be talking about is contractual partnerships, okay? And that's what he talks about here. وَالشَّرِكَةُ خَمْسَةُ أَضْرَابٍ. There's 5 kinds, okay? He's going to mention the 5 kinds, okay? And we're going to list them together. Inshallah, we'll go through through 5 of them, one by one. So he says here, sharikatu inan. The first one is sharikatu inan. As usual, we'll read the Arabic, and then we'll open up the slides, inshallah. So sharikatu inan, the first type, sharikatu inan. And sharikatu inan, he'll mention sharikatu inan, and then he'll mention sharikatu al-Mudarabah. Let me just kind of go over them quickly. Al-inan is basically a normal partnership, the most common partnership, where when we talk about partnerships, what are the things you're putting in? What are the things you're putting in? I'm asking you guys. So capital. What else? So labor, just the basic stuff. Capital, labor, and maybe equity is okay. Liability. So capital and labor are the main things. Okay. Some of them enter also like liability. What do you mean by that? Like fi dhimma, yani something that it's not capital or labor, but it's a type of an asset that's coming from debt, like credit. Tamam? We both have no money, right? But we want, مثلا, we're going to go take a loan and buy these kind of products, okay? Together, you're going to get like a 40% of the loan, I'll get 60% of the loan, okay? and this is like something, it's a credit, right? Something في الذمة, something that you are responsible for. So those are the things you're going to be talking about. So when we talk about inan, number one, the first one, inan, is basically a regular partnership. You put money and labor, money and time. He puts money and labor, and you put money and labor. Tamam? That's inan. That's the most common, basic. The second one is it's called mudarabah. Well, mudarabah is that when one of them says, I have cash, but I don't have time, okay? And you don't have cash, but you have time, labor, tamam? But what I do is I'll say, I'll put the capital, and you do the labor, and we'll agree on a profit, split, okay? Tamam? I just want you to understand an overall. The other one is, they say sharikatu wujuh, okay? From the word jah, right? And this is where both of them have no capital, okay? But they have some credit, right? They have some authority, they have some connections, and they can go get some loans, they can go get some, some equipment or whatever it is, okay? And they bring it to the sharika, and they agree on a split, on a profit and loss, okay? So that's kind of the third kind. The fourth kind, sharikatu abdan, or sharikatu abdan from the word badan, right? It's basically labor, okay? We can either go sell some stuff that we have. Okay, we're gonna start like a garage sale business or something. We all bring our stuff together, or we're gonna go gather junk and sell it. Okay, that's okay. Or the other one is like we both have skills. Oh, you're a carpenter. I do knitting or something, and so we're gonna start this kind of company of custom made carpets or something. I don't know. Okay, so you both have some kind of skill. So those two kinds are abdan. And the last one they mentioned is sharakat tafweed or mufawada. And remember the word tafweed is to kind of like entrust someone or to rely on someone. So sharakat tafweed or mufawada is when like two people or more, they come together and be like, we are partners in everything. Everything. So this guy might have some kind of a business online. This guy has some kind of a product selling thing. This guy has a digital asset. So all of them together, we 50-50 or whatever they agree, 70-30. And they have equal say in all of them. Okay? This is like a more kind of extreme general thing. Some of the fuqaha never allowed it, but the Hanabila allowed it. The Hanabila are a bit more flexible when it comes to remember we said they're very flexible when it comes to buyu'. So he says here, first, sharikatu inan, the first one. وَهِيَ أَنْ يُحْضِرَ كُلٌّ مِّنْ عَدَدٍ. Okay, and yuhdira. So it's basically when two or more, okay, they bring yuhdira, and these two or more partners have to be jaiz al-tasarruf. Remember jaiz al-tasarruf? Those who are legally able to spend money. Free, hur, mukallaf, right? Mukallaf, yani he's sane and mature. Mukallaf is baligh aqil. And the third thing is what? Is Rashid. He's financially mature and knows how to deal with money. So they have to be jaiz al-tasarruf. So you can't, technically it would not count if you made a partnership with some insane person. Or, you can go and do it, but he will not be liable for any loss or any, tamam? Or with some saghir, okay? So it has to be from people who are jaiz al-tasarruf, okay? And then he says here, min ma'loom, min malihi naqdan. So it has to be from their own money. So they put money in, okay? Naqdan. Here they say naqdan. النقد في الفقه here, it means gold and silver. So here, in their time, that's the only kind of currency they had, okay? Here you could say currency that we have. I think you can enter Bitcoin as well and similar accepted currencies, tamam? So it doesn't have to be specifically dhahab and fidda, but that's in their time, that was the only main currency. So min mali, it has to be from own wealth, naqdan, okay, gold or silver. Ma'luman, has to be known. It has to be something known, and it has to be known. Okay, he's putting 40,000. He's putting, 10 bitcoins. He's putting, 100 grams of gold. It has to be something ma'loom. It can't be something unknown. لِيَعْمَلَ فِيهِ كُلٌّ or لِيَعْمَل. So both of them will work. Okay, لِيَعْمَلَ فِيهِ كُلٌّ عَلَى أَنْ. Okay, so they can get, which is the reward. عَلَى أَلَّهُ مِنَ الرِّبْحِ. So that each one of them will have ribh, profit. جُزْءًا مُشَاعًا مَعْلُومًا. This is important. They will have a portion that is, so they'll have a known undivided share. Juz'an, musha'an, ma'luman. Juz'an is a share. It has to be a known share. So you have to know the share. 40, 60. Doesn't have to be even. No, doesn't have to be even. You decide on it. Okay? Has to be a known portion. It cannot be like, oh, we'll decide later. Or, some ambiguous, I don't know how, someone might say something vague, not known. Okay, so it has to be juz'an, and he says here musha'an. Musha'an يعني it's not mu'ayyan. Musha'an is not mu'ayyan. And it's not something specific. Well, they would say something like it shouldn't be something specific. Okay, like مثلا 60% of the first quarter, I get profit. No, it's something that is not specific in your contract. I don't know if that makes sense. Or they say مثلا I will get the first, from the first profit I'll get 60%, and then I'll get another. So it has to be something musha'an, not specific. Okay, so it's you get a portion 40, 60. Okay. But it's not something that is specific, like this specific 40, or this from this country, or this quality of gold coins, or it can't be something specific. It's something musha', yeah, and it has to be ma'loom, specific. طيب, let's read. So he says here. نعم تفضل.
How the shares in this case? Like they just assume when they make the money, or they should consider?
So you're asking what happens if one of them puts a currency and then the currency changes value.
Yes.
You mentioned Bitcoin because Bitcoin is still, and it moves a lot. What happens if you if the person is putting that as capital, like a Bitcoin, فخلص, that's part of the capital. Tamam. So you're asking, does the capital go up or down? Yeah. So because here's the thing, if you're not putting percentages and you're putting it like a general, that's a bit more general. I'm putting a Bitcoin and he's putting مثلا this much cash. Okay, so that means that percentage will change over time. صح? And your share, your agreement will be going back to percentages. Right? On the juz' musha', right? Ma'loom.
So we should agree at the beginning.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, I think that would help to clarify that in your contract. But yeah, you put something and its value went up. Okay, and that's why sometimes it makes sense to pick a currency and make it known. And مثلا you say I'll back it with this Bitcoin. مثلا, if you agree, and if you agree that that's easier to do. But if you're going to say, مثلا, I will put my Bitcoin, مثلا, one Bitcoin, it can go up or down, and that will determine your ownership, your capital, right? طبعا, you will see that when we go to different madhab, even within the madhab, there's a lot of discussion about the profit and the loss. Are they always the same? No, they're not the same. Okay, and the Hanabila, what you'll see is they'll say that the profit can be different than the loss. Okay, and usually they tie the loss to the capital. Right. So these are some of the qawa'id fiqhiyya that they'll discuss when it comes to buyu', that the loss is related to capital. The more and they'll talk about that no capital is madmoon. You cannot guarantee a capital. You cannot say that the capital is guaranteed. مثلا, the capital has it can be lost depending on how well the company does. Okay. طيب. So he says here. So definition: it's an agreement between two or more parties whereby their assets or funds are commingled, or their labor, services, obligations, and liabilities are combined with the aim of doing business and making profit. This is what a partnership is. A sharika. The types of partnership we said, we have Sharikatul Amlak, we talked about it, a type of partnership which basically involves joint ownership by two or more persons in a particular property solely for the sake of ownership. This is ownership, Sharikatul Amlak. This type of partnership is usually created by ways of inheritance, wills, or other situations where two or more persons come to hold an asset in common. Okay, example, Ahmed and Muhammad both combine their money and purchase a piece of land together, thereby becoming its co-owners. That's not what we're going to be talking about today. So today we'll be talking about contractual partnership, Sharikatul Uqud, a partnership that is formed by means of mutual agreement between two or more persons who agree that each of them contributes to the business and is entitled to a corresponding share in its financial results, profits or losses. Okay, the contracting parties agree to combine their assets, efforts, and or liabilities for the purpose of making profits. Tamam. So this is what we're going to be talking about, Sharikatul Uqud. And then we said that there's 5 types of contractual partnerships. Al-Inan, right? And then we have Mudarabah, profit sharing. Then we have Al-Wujuh, credit. It's involved with credit worthiness, right? You have your jah and your I guess your profile and your connections that help you get capital and things to sell. And then Al-Abdan is basically services or occupation. You have some kind of skill or mahara or mihna. And then Al-Mufawada is like basically partnership in everything. Tamam? Full authority and obligation in everything. طيب, let's start with Al-Inan. We talked about Inan here. Al-Mu'allaf, he said. So it's a partnership between two or more persons, each contributing a portion of the total capital and participating in work and management. So they both put capital and they both put work, right? Labor. Each partner has its share in profit or loss as agreed in the contract. So they'll agree on a profit and a loss. Therefore, shares in contributions or profits need not be equal between the partners. They don't have to be equal. They don't have to be 50-50. Even if they both put 50,000, 50,000, do they have to be 50-50 profit? No. Because maybe, like, give me some instances where it would be fair if one of them took more profit. So one of them has more expertise, more experience, more connections, right? Or one of them, mathalan, is going to end up doing more work. They put the same capital, but one of them is going to be doing more work. Tamam. So, so he has more liability, more time, and so it makes sense. It makes sense. But these have to be agreed upon, so no problems happen. The partners must specify contributions and profits ratios by agreement. Yeah, so they have to say 50-40, 50-50, 40-60. So example, Ahmed and Muhammad agree to go into business with a certain defined amount of cash invested from each, and that the former will take 60 and the latter will take 40% of the profit. Tamam? This should be known. This should be made known between them at the beginning. طيب. All partners involved in this type of partnership must be among those who are allowed to spend their wealth. جائز التصرف, we mentioned that. حر, mukallaf, and rashid, meaning those who have not reached the age of puberty, the insane, etc. cannot get involved in this type of partnerships because they have restrictions on their spending. Aslan, they can't. صح? They are mahjur, right? They are mahjur لحظ النفس. طيب. Then we have, it says here, the partners must bring either gold, silver, or cash as capital for this type of partnership. It should also be known exactly how much each will contribute towards the capital as mentioned above. So the things that have to be known are the amount of capital and the share. The amount of capital and the share, they have to be known between them. Tamam? This is very important for this partnership to be valid. They both receive their respective shares in the profits immediately. Meaning they cannot agree that one will take all the profits for the first 6 months and the other the next 6 months, because this leads to disputes. For example, the business may do really well the first, So this is what they meant by musha'an. Okay, it's evenly spread towards the year. It's not like someone can say, I'll take the first I'll take the 60% in the beginning or the first quarter, and you take the second quarter. No. طيب. وعادة يعني these kind of partnerships or sharikat, they will agree on things like when are we going? Is there going to be salaries? Are we going to give? Are we going to take out profits? Are we going to reinvest profits? Are we going to take out the capital? مثلا when we make profits. So these things are agreed upon, and it's flexible. It's flexible. بإذن تعالى. طيب. So that's the first one. شركة العنان. which we just covered right now. The second one is al-Mudarabah. The second one is Sharakatul Mudarabah. So Inan is clear, right? Any questions about Sharakatul Inan? Very basic, simple. Capital and labor from both of them. We need to make sure they know the percentage of profit and how much capital was put in. Tamam? And it has to be done by those who are jaiz al-tasarruf, who are legally able to use their wealth. طيب. الثاني, he says here, المضاربة, right? المضاربة. وهي دفع مال, okay, spending capital or money, معين, specified, معلوم, it's known, right? لمن يتجر فيه بجزء معلوم مشاع من ربحه, okay? So, like we said, دفع مال, one of them is gonna spend money, specific amount of money, okay, invest specific amount of money, capital, معلوم, لمن, to someone, لمن يتجر فيه, who someone who's gonna do business with it. He's gonna buy and sell, he's gonna start some kind of agency or whatever it is. المهم, he's gonna work with that capital, okay, بجزء معلوم مشاع من ربحه, okay, in exchange for a specified portion, okay, from the profits. Tamam? So here in the Mudarabah, we have one person who's, I'm going to give you a simple example, someone who's putting capital and someone who's putting labor. So the guy who has capital, he can't really do much with the capital, okay, and the guy who has labor only, he can't really do much without capital. So they get together and both of them can win, right? Like, this happens a lot in like the Dragon's Den, right? Or the Shark Show, right? You guys watch those? Yeah? Naam, the Shark Tank, yeah? Shark Show. The Shark Tank, right? So these guys come and they need some capital, right? And so the guy will be like, okay, I'll give you 500,000 for this much profit of the company. Tamam? So that's kind of a type of mudarabah. طيب, let's talk about it. So he says here, وَإِنْ ضَارَبَ لِآخَرٍ فَأَضَرَّ الْأَوَّلِ حُرِمٍ. So this is an important topic here. He says here, if I'm the one with the capital, okay, I got 50,000, and Adib here, he's got time, okay, so he can put in the labor, and we get into a partnership. I say, here Adib, 50,000, and go start a what kind of business you want to start? Huh? Car selling. Okay, car selling. Okay, type. He wants to start selling cars. So I give him 50,000. Okay, and I say, go start a company. Okay, let's go auction, get some cars, fix them, and sell them. Cool. Type. The assumption here is that I know Adib has this much time, and he has his expertise, etc. Type. Is he allowed to go now to Saad and be like, hey Saad, do you have 50,000? I know you have cash, I have some time, I know how to sell cars. How about you give me 50,000? And he does the same thing he did with me. After me and him agree. What do you guys think about that? Like from an ethical point of view or from, Would I like it? Would I like it if he did that? طيب. So if he does it without my permission, it's saying here haram. Okay? It's not allowed. Why? How am I being harmed? Yeah, okay, so I was assuming he's going to put 8 hours, or maybe we agreed on that. But because now he got Sa'ad doing the same thing, okay, he got a bit greedy. He's like, okay, I could manage. I could get more cars like that. So it's going to affect my performance, my business performance. صح? Everyone agree? It's going to affect my business performance. But what if he comes and asks me permission, and I say, okay, no problem, ما في مشكلة. Because now you've asked me, and I said, okay, sure, man. But with I'll be like, with the condition that, you only put مثلا 4 hours or whatever. Or maybe if he wanted another 50,000, I would have been like, you could have just told me, I'll give you another 50. And if you want to get more cars, just keep it in, keep the business in the house, So he says here, وَإِنْ ضَارَبَ لِآخَرٍ, he does mudarabah with someone else, فَأَضَرَّ الْأَوَّلِ, and he harms the first one. طبعا he's making a condition here. طب what if he doesn't harm the second one? What if he doesn't harm the second one? Is there a way where he doesn't harm the second one? It might be difficult to prove, but there's a way. Like for example, مثلا, Adib like figured out the business. Okay, so and he studied wakala with us. He understands wakala. So he's like, you know what? I have a friend of mine, Zaid, and he's just bored. He doesn't know what he's doing. I'm just gonna pay him and teach him everything I know, and he's gonna do everything. I'm gonna get the 50,000 from Saad, and he's gonna do everything I know, and I'll pay him. And I'll pay him 60%, and I'll get 40%. It's not taking more of my time. Okay. I told Hamza I'm gonna work on weekdays. I'll spend the weekends to teach Zaid. Okay. Am I harming Hamza? I'm not harming Hamza because we agreed I'm gonna work weekdays, but he's gonna teach Zaid. Okay, the wakil for his agency on his spare time. Tamam? Khalas. So is there any darar here? There's no darar. Okay. So that's why he says فَأَضَرَّ الْأَوَّلِ haram. It's haram. Okay, if he's gonna harm me. Look what he says here. This is I think there's some disagreement with some of the Hanabila, but he says وَرَدَّ حِصَّتَهُ فِي الشَّرِكَةِ وَرَدَّ حِصَّتَهُ في الشَّرِكَةِ. He says here, like, you know what he's saying? He's saying, well, if I give him the capital and he's gonna go get cars and sell them, and then he takes from my time that he's gonna, he's getting share of a profit, right? To do work for somebody else, then the profit he makes from that other person is put into our profit. That's what they're saying here. And then we split that profit. Because you're getting profit from my time. Like you're gonna get paid from this business, right? But you decided to go use our time, okay, to go make money from someone else. So that profit, it belongs to us both, okay? Your profit, yani, your share. But that guy's share, he keeps it. So we're not gonna wrong that guy. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So there's a partnership between me and Adib. Okay, I gave him 50,000 and he's selling cars, buying and selling cars. And now he goes and gets 50,000 from Saad. Okay, so now he's got like two investors, two different companies. Okay, he's gonna get a profit from me and a profit from him. What he's saying here, if I was the first partner and he's supposed to spend time on my partnership, whatever profit he makes from that one, he will put it into our company and we will share that profit according to whatever we agreed on, 60-40, 70-30, okay? Saad will get his share, okay, whatever. We're not going to wrong him, but because you're using my time, we're going to share that profit. Is that fair? I think it's fair, right? It's good. He learned his lesson. طيب. Jamil. So he says here, وَرَدَّ حِصَّتَهُ فِي الشَّرِكَةِ. Yeah, he puts back his portion in the company. Okay, and then he says, وَإِن تَلِفَ رَأْسُ الْمَالِ أَوْ بَعْضُهُ. تَلِفَ يعني is gone. If part of the capital is gone or all of it is gone, بعد تصرف أو خسر, يعني after يعني starting the business, or there's some loss, جُبِرَ من ربح قبل قسمة. Okay, any loss or damage is taken from the profit before we distribute the money. Tamam. So if there's any damage, okay, let's say like the initial investment was 50,000, okay, 50,000, okay. The company now, it's made, I don't know, another 50,000. So now we have how much? Technically we have in assets and everything, 100,000, okay. But then there's some damage. I don't know, 2 cars get stolen. Okay, so we lose, I don't know, 10,000. We're down to 90,000, okay. So I already did the math here. I took it from what? From the actual ribh. Okay, I took it from the ribh, meaning now if we decide to distribute we end the partnership, the first thing we're going to do is, because someone might say, well, no, take it out from the capital. No, okay. We take out the capital, okay. So it started as 50,000. We made another 50. Now it's 100. We had 10,000 of loss or other costs. Okay, so now we're left with 90. So what we're gonna do is we're ending the partnership. He's like, you know what? Khalas, I'm gonna go with Saad. You're too difficult. Okay, but let's break the company. So now we're gonna break the company. I will get my 50,000 back. So I will be the first one. I will get my capital back, صح? Okay. And then from there, there'll be 40,000 left. And now we'll split the profits depending on what we agreed on. 60-40, and then we'll get 40-60. That makes sense? Or 60-40, whatever makes you happy. نعم تفضل.
Yeah, so in this case, what happened to his boss?
مين؟
He was put in work. Let's say there is losses or something like this. Should we consider his time he spent as
مع سعد؟
no, like you enter a partnership with somebody, let's say 50, and he does his work, and then let's say we lose 20,000. How we distribute?
So if we're in a partnership, this mudarabah, $20,000 is lost. Okay? So let's say I put in 50, okay, we made another 50, it's 100. $20,000 got lost from damage or whatever, okay, costs. Okay, so you're saying we're gonna split the profits according to our partnership. Agreed on the percentage of profits. You're gonna say, well, are we gonna pay him for if you guys agreed on some kind of salary, that's different. And I'm just talking about profit share. Okay, if in the beginning you agreed that we're gonna because there are some kind of there's more details. You can add these things later in this kind of contract. I'm giving you the skeleton of the contract, but you can add a salary, right? If he's someone who needs a salary, we can give him a salary, and that might affect the profit. مثلا, okay, مثلا, he was supposed to get 50% of the profits. Okay, we're gonna say, okay, you will get a salary of this much, and then when we dissolve the company, you own مثلا 20% of the company or the profits, something like that. تمام. But whatever is left from the profits, he's gonna get from his share. So he's not losing.
Let's simplify it. Let's say
I'm making money from my investment, and he made money from his work. Both of us won. Okay, but the capital has to be taken out first.
yeah, but he's putting work that we didn't consider. Like unless you give him a salary, that's different. But if he's just putting work,
Because remember, I'm going to mention, if the company goes wrong, okay, he turns out to be like a horrible salesman, or something happens, okay, and all the cars are lost, all the money's lost. Who holds the liabilities on who here? Is he going to guarantee my capital? No. In the Mudarabah here, if the money's lost and it's not his fault, no specific negligence or anything like that, then it's not a loan. He doesn't guarantee my money. Okay? He's an ameen here. Okay? So my money's lost. So I bear that liability.
this is one-sided, right? I think you mentioned that's not allowed. Like, so what you are saying is, if the company is doing good, I'm gonna get profit. If the company is bankrupt, you take the losses.
Mhm.
You see, like you put 50. Now that the company is lost, you take you will be responsible for the 50. But if we make money, we split the money.
La. If we make money, okay, if the company goes broke, okay, no one's gonna give me my capital back. Nobody can guarantee me that. Khalas, it's a risk I took. Okay. If the company does well, that's why I said we take my capital out first. So because I'm accepting the risk of losing all of it, okay, I also get.
He's losing his time in this case.
No, he's not losing time. How is he losing time? And I put 50,000. Okay, I put 50,000 for my own money. Hard work. I worked hard for this money, and he's gonna put time. We're gonna make 100,000. We're gonna make 50 more, so the total is gonna be 100,000. Okay, I'm just giving you a simple example. Okay, we have $10,000 costs, so we're down to 90 now total. Our account says 90,000. Okay, now we're gonna break the company. Okay, I'll take the 50 out first. Okay, let's say we agreed on 50-50. Okay, I'll take my 50,000 first, so we're left with 40,000. Okay, so now he's gonna get 20. I'll get 20. What do you mean he lost? He got $20,000. I got $20,000. So I made $20,000. He made $20,000. House. Everybody lives happily ever after.
So what I'm thinking is like you put the 50, we got the cars, and then let's say we get 50. Now we got 50. profit to you?
لا, we're sharing profits. There's a,
Now we are just making 50.
we're down to 50 only.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no profit then.
Then his work is just half.
Yeah, that's the risk of business. Sometimes your labor will be gone and sometimes my capital will be gone. But there's no liability on his end. Yani, if it goes down to 40,000, does he have to give me the 10 back? So did he? What's the only risk he had is his labor. Did he risk his capital, or did he have, if anything, in the dhimma, on his neck? No.
For the money to get it, so it's time to money.
No, it's not the same because they're both valuable, and some people they're willing. They have time. They can spend that time, and they're willing to give it a try. And for them, it's comfortable. You know what? If it works, Allahu Akbar, I'm going to be wealthy. If it doesn't work, no problem. I was broke. I'm still broke, but I don't have debt. They don't bear risk. Okay, everybody bears risk of time. I mean, I'm bearing risk of not investing this money in something else, right? I'm bearing the risk that it could not come back. See, there's risk in all of it. This is what tijara is. Tfadal.
Nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
they will look at your financial plans if you are taking salary or not. If you don't take salary, they will not invest.
If you're not taking salary, investors.
Because they know it's not realistic. How are you working without getting money?
Yeah, and it makes sense. Yeah, now, there's rare cases when somebody doesn't want a salary, and they have another salary that's sufficient for them, and they just want to do like something that's 4 hours a day or something.
But the question is, what happens when the company is getting is under a lot of debt, and then you decide to break the or exit? Like you are in minus now.
Mm-hmm.
It's minus.
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
Yeah, if the company is not doing well.
There's no money left. You owe money. Right now you have to pay your suppliers, everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Who's responsible?
So what happens then?
Naam?
How did they go below the capital?
You both cards with let's say you have
Capital though.
no, you have a capital, but you said okay, this is the initial payment for 10 cards, and I'll give me 5 cards now, 5 cards in the future, and whatever.
If you're adding a debt, then we're gonna get into sharikat al-wujuh. Okay. Now you're combining another type of sharika, because as of now we are relying on our capital, right? So whatever he bought, he has the capital. Worst case scenario should be that we lose from the capital, we have no profits, or we lose all the capital.
So my question here is, nowadays there's something called like companies, they have that thing limited in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Limited means it's a separate entity. The liability is not on the people, so it can act on its own.
So this is a modern day, a new modern day kind of contemporary issue where basically it's not the person behind the company, it's an entity, and yeah.
So when the company takes a loan, everyone in the company, all the owners are taking this loan somehow, but not directly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know. This is another kind of worms. So we're not going to open that kind of worms for now. We just want to go through the skeleton of each kind of contract. Okay, I know what you mean, and this is done for legal reasons. It protects you. It protects the individual. So that's a bit more advanced, inshallah. We're not going to go into that. We just want to go into the basics. So it says here, we're going to take out the capital or any damage or anything from the cash, the cash flow before we distribute. Okay, let's read. So al-Mudarabah, the second type. This is the type of partnership where one puts forth the capital, I'm putting capital, and the other supplies the labor, Adib's doing the labor. The split of the profits is determined before the contract is signed. Yes, we have to talk about. Well, here, the loss we said, it's going to be basically, the capital, I bear the responsibility here. If we're losing, I'm the one who's going to bear the responsibility. He doesn't have to bear any responsibility for the capital. But you can do it 50-50, 40-60, whatever you decide on. The capital should be specific and known. We said that. We need to know exactly how much the partner provided the capital is investing, so we can determine the appropriate amount of profit. If we do not know, then how can we measure the profit and determine its split? They both will take specified and agreed upon ratios from the profit. Okay. So example, Ahmed and Muhammad want to start a business together. Ahmed invests 50,000 in an ice cream truck business, and Muhammad is made in charge of doing the labor part of it, ordering the ice cream, getting it ready, driving it around. They both agree to share the profit, 60% for Ahmed and 40% for Muhammad. Okay? Ahmed put 50,000, he's going to get 60%. Muhammad is going to get 40% for doing the labor and the management and all that stuff. Okay? Cool? Pretty simple. If there is a loss, then the one who gave the capital loses the money, and the other loses the effort that he put into it, plus part of the profit that he was supposed to receive. شوفت يعني it's like يعني انت وحظك يعني whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed for you guys. It could be that I put 50,000 and after working for a whole year we end up with 60,000. Okay? In this case he's only going to get 40%, يعني 4,000, because there's 10,000 left. He's going to get 4,000, I'll get 6,000. Okay? So you might say, well, he worked for a whole year, but my money also was invested for a whole year. It could have made money somewhere in a stock market. It could have made 6% or 7% or whatever. So both of them are bearing a loss here. Sometimes the one more than the other. صح. طيب. Jamil, if there's a loss, then the one who gave the capital loses the money, and the other one, أحسنت. طيب, next one now. Another partner cannot be added if it will cause harm for the first one. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. أن يضارب يعني شخصا آخر. So for Adib, right, the one who's doing the labor, to go find another person who will invest. Okay, this is forbidden unless the first one permits it. If I say, okay, no problem, Adib comes to me and says, you know what, I want to do the same thing with somebody else, but I'm only going to do it in the weekends. We agreed weekdays, I'll do that on the weekends, and it won't affect our numbers. If we see a decrease in numbers, خلاص, I will stop that one. Agree? Okay, خلاص, agree. No problem. However, if there is no harm for the first partner, then it's permissible even without permission. This is what we're talking about. If you find a way to do it without harming me, then you don't need my permission. Okay? طبعا, it's always good to say. صح? What do you guys think? It's good to mention to your partner that I'm doing something else. So because يعني Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam praised the person, who's transparent with his partner, right? Forgot his name, but there was a person who was doing tijara with the Prophet sallam, and he only accepted Islam after Fath Makkah, right? But Nabi sallam, when he saw him, he praised him, and he praised him for his sales skills and being transparent and not being argumentative. Tamam. But this is something that that the Sharia commends, right, and praises the partner that is trustworthy. He's ameen. He's transparent. He doesn't argue much. He's not arguing all the time with you. These are good, skills or characteristics of a partner, right? Yeah. Allahu A'lam. طيب. So if he tells you, then that will increase your trust. But if he finds out later from, Abu Ahmed, that, your partner there is starting something else. What? What's going to happen? Shaitan's going to come and, hey, I heard that you're going to, you're trying to, فالشيطان ينزغ بينهم سبحان الله. طيب. So, example of harm. Putting all time and energy in the second business and ignoring the first one. Obviously, that's always harm. He's going to go put all his time in Sa'ad's company. Sa'ad's is making tons of money. And I'm here, miskeen, my 50,000 is not growing. Okay? But he agreed with me first. So I have more haqq than him. But example, Ahmed gives Muhammad 50,000 to do a business that the latter will run and manage. Ahmed gives Muhammad 50,000. Muhammad takes the money and goes to Zayd. Okay? And sets up a similar contract where Zayd gives him another 50,000 to run and manage a separate business. However, this new venture with Zayd will take a toll on the first business. This is harm, darar, right? This is not allowed unless Ahmed permits him to do so, because it puts Ahmed's investment at risk of not profiting. The agreed upon contract initially was between Ahmed and Muhammad alone. Therefore, the former's permission is necessary for Muhammad to move forward with Zayd. Yeah, you can't move forward with Sa'ad unless you take my permission if there is harm involved. Now he says, if another partner was added without the first partner's permission and it harms the first business, then the person's portion of profits from the second partnership we said the money you're making from Sa'ad, okay, that is harming me, okay, will be added to the profits from the first partnership. Okay? So, by the end of your partnership with Sa'ad, you made 50,000 from your share, or let's say 20,000 from your share. That 20,000 will be added with our profits, and we'll split it exactly according to our proportion that we agreed upon. Okay? As long as the second Mudarabah contract done without permission harms the first Mudarabah contract, the person's portion of the profits from the second will continue to be taken and combined with the first and then distributed. Okay? There's an example, but you guys get the point. The point is that if something's going to harm the first partner, you need to take permission. If you don't take permission and go ahead and do another partnership, okay, then your profits with the second partnership will be brought here and will be split. Tamam. تفضل.
Definition of harm here. Like right now, companies, even if they have this thing, market share. If you are taking from market share, that's a harm. But market share thing.
Market share?
Yeah, market share. Like let's say I sell ice creams, and if you start selling ice creams in Algeria, you are taking from my market share. Or if we sell it, like the interpretation of.
Yeah, so nowadays contracts will be very detailed, right? Like, I think, and the bigger the company is, and the bigger, the more lawyers they have, they'll have more shurut in the aqd, and a lot of the shurut will be fine, right? We have to look at the shurut, right? Is this condition? Is it a good condition? Is it an acceptable condition? And if they agreed upon something like that, then they have to al-Muslimuna ala shurutihim, right? So they have to follow up with those shurut. So if he says, مثلا, you're not allowed to have another partner in the contract between both of us, then khalas, he can't have another partner. If I tell him, مثلا, you can start something else but not in this country, then no problem. Or we say, you can start something else only after 2 years with me. Then khalas, if he agrees with that, then he has to follow that. That's something binding. That makes sense? So it depends really on the shurut. The shurut are flexible, as long as they don't oppose any of the things we've discussed before. The next thing, if there isn't any destruction or loss of the capital, this is what we're talking about. Before the profit has been divided and distributed, it will be redeemed from the profit, right? We said that. We said if we invested 50, I invested 50, and our total is 100,000 after profit, then any damage will be taken from it first. So for example, Ahmed invests 1,000 in a Mudarabah partnership with Muhammad. In 3 months, they make a profit of $2,000. So now they have how much? 1 plus 2 is 3. $3,000 in the bank. Then in the 4th month, they have a bad month and they lose 500. So 3,000 minus 500, we're down to how much? 2,500. So he's saying in this case, the 500 will be taken from the 2,000 profit. So now they have 2,500 in the bank and 1,500 of profit, because there was another 1,000 from the capital. Okay, so 1,500 of profit to split based on initial agreement. This is what we talked about before. Okay, so we're going to take the capital out first, and then we split according to what we agreed upon. تفضل.
So in the case where, let's say, you put down 50,000 and the business generates another 50,000, so that's 100,000, and then for some reason, for whatever reason, right? Let's say there's a break-in, and then somebody came for whatever reason, like 50,000 is gone, so you only left with 50,000. So in that case.
So you're saying I put a 50,000, mashallah, Adib does well, he makes a profit of 100,000. Now we have
50,000 is gone.
150,000, and somebody breaks into our.
No, you have 100,000. You put down 15,
Yeah.
and the business generates another 50.
Okay, another 50. Okay,
So like,
so we have 100 in total.
yeah,
Cool.
somebody came in and took 15. 50 is gone.
Somebody came, it took 50. Who's gonna bear
Yeah, exactly.
the loss, right? Who's gonna bear the loss? What do you guys think? Huh? From the Prophet?
The guy who owned, that's gone.
So we have to see now here, because you're basically asking me about the last line of the chapter, okay? وكلهما جائزا ولا ضمان فيها إلا بتعد أو تفريط. So is there any تعدي or تفريط? Like, is there negligence? Like, Adib is the one managing. He's he's basically the CEO. Like, I'm the investor. He's basically the running the show. Okay, and he left the cash on the counter unlocked or something, or okay, and I can, who's gonna bear the loss here? He is, because this is tafrit from his side. Why should I be for his mistake unless I let it go? Okay, type everything was done right, and some hailstorm damaged all our cars. Okay, and we never agreed that it has to be put under some roof or something like that. We both agreed that we park it on Adib's parking lot. Okay, and they all get damaged by hail because we made a bad decision in living in the Northeast. That's usually when we get the hailstorms. He doesn't. We both bear the loss. It'll be taken from the. Yeah, it'll be taken from the 50 first.
Yeah, so he's still bearing the cost.
Yeah, I'm bearing the cost too.
No, you are taking your
La. No. You guys are looking at the half empty cup. If I put 50, and he made 50 for the business, okay, and something out of his control came and caused us 30,000 in damage, okay, so we got 50 initial capital and 20 profit, صح? 50 and 20. طيب. You're saying here, you guys are saying we should take this 30 out of the capital. No, we shouldn't. Why should we? And if we take it from the profit, I'm losing and he's losing. So why would you put all the loss on me? That's not fair.
He's putting his time.
Yeah. I understood. But I'm putting my money.
Your money is a
Yeah.
form of time.
Here, basically, in this kind of partnership, my capital is equal to his labor. I'm risking my capital, he's risking his labor. So it's not fair that when something happens to our business, we take it all from my capital. No, we should take it from his labor as well. Tamam? So, both of them are bearing the loss. طيب, let's go to number 3. شركة الوجوه. Wujuh doesn't mean here like faces. Al-wujuh here coming from jah, right? Well, jah, what's jah in English? If we say jah, prestige or reputation, yeah, okay. So basically, what it is, it's people who have credit, good credit. They can go. They're coming together like, hey, Abdullah, you want to do some money? Or me and Adib, we're business partners for today. But Adib, listen, let's start a business, man. The economy, inflation, too much. You have cash, right? No, I have no cash. Paycheck to paycheck. What about you? No, I have no cash. Paycheck to paycheck. Have some connections. Yeah, I have some connections. Yeah, you have this. Okay, let's gather for $50,000 in cash. Okay, you go borrow 25. I'll go borrow 25. You're okay, and then we're both able to do that. Okay, this is what they're talking about. We have credit score. We have connections. We don't have actual capital. Tamam. So we get together, and then we're like, yalla, let's start this car business, car selling business. Okay, we meet. He borrowed 50. Okay, so no, it's fi dhimma now, right? It's something that is a liability for both of you. It's a credit. So he says here, شركة الوجوه وهي أن يشتركا في ربح ما يشتريان في ذممهما بجاههما أو بجاهيهما with their jah, both of them, with their position or authority or prestige. وكل وكيل الآخر وكفيله بالثمن. Okay, so here he says that both of them are going to be wakil and damin for each other. What does that mean? So he got a $25,000 loan, I got a $25,000 loan, okay? If something happens to him, I'm responsible for that, okay? Whatever decision I make, it's going to be made on behalf of him as well. So we're pretty much like partners together. We're both responsible and we both guarantee each other's debt. Does that make sense? That's part of the partnership, okay? Very basic, it's and you'll see that a lot of these contracts nowadays, they're joined together. Some people will do part of this with part of this with part of this. There's some debt here and there's some capital here, and he's doing some labor and this guy. So, but I'm showing you the bare skeleton of each one of them by themselves. So we go to, so we're done al-inan, okay? We're done al-mudarabah, And now we go to al-wujuh. So al-wujuh is pretty basic. This is a partnership between two or more persons carrying a business on credit only without investment of capital through their own money. They purchase goods on credit on the basis of their reputation and then sell them to make profit. Okay, so they're gonna take debt. This is allowed by the Hanbalis and the Hanafis. You will see actually when the Shafi'is and the Malikis are very strict on these things. They will say no, you don't have capital, khalas. You don't have the right to start a business. The Hanabil are a bit more flexible. The profit belongs to the partners only and not the lenders. Taban, if he borrowed 25 from Afzal and I borrowed 25 from my neighbor, do the lenders do we owe them any profit? Do they have any right for the profit? No, right? Sah. Okay, that's what he's saying here. They don't have any right from profit. This is a qard. This is a loan. Okay, we're just taking loans. But if we said that money, okay, we'll give you profit on it, then things change here. It's not a loan anymore. It's an investment. It's a mudarabah. Okay, it's a mudarabah basically, and we're not liable for the money. واضح? The minute you say there's some profit, we're switching from a loan to a type of mudarabah. Okay, this way you bear the responsibility of the money, but you can also get money as well. You can make profit as well. Tamam? So that's what he's saying here. The profit belongs to the partners only and not the lenders. The latter are only owed the amount that they lended. Yeah, it's a loan. Example: Ahmed and Muhammad want to go into business together. However, they do not have enough money to start the business. So they both go to a lender and borrow money together to start the business. It is expected that the lenders will only give them the money provided they have a good reputation and or credit worthiness, right? This is what we're talking about. This is what's called wujuh, right? A lender will usually not give to someone who has a bad reputation or their credit is weak. Just like you go to a bank nowadays, let's just assume they don't have any interest on the loans. Yeah, they will not give you. They'll look at your credit score. You have a good credit score? Sure, yeah. Tfaddal. Okay. You don't have a good credit score? No, we're not going to give you the Do you owe the bank profit from what you make? No, you don't owe them. But how are they going to take money from you here? Through interest, right? Through the interest on that loan. طيب. Jameel. Then he says, if there is a loss, then the partners share in it because they are considered agents, right? Wakil of each other due to the fact that they are co-owners of the business, meaning they both are responsible and guarantors, okay, for any loss occurred and will owe money together to the lenders for any loss, even if only one of them borrowed. Hatta law only one of them borrowed, right? Even if he borrowed 90% and I borrowed 10%, if something happens to him, I'm responsible. Tamam? So if one partner borrows 60% and the other 40% and there is a loss, then they each pay the lender back with the respective percentages to return the money. If one of them is unable to do so, then the other is responsible for it. Example: if one borrowed 60% of the loan and the other 40%, then that is the amount that they each owe to the lenders, 60 and 40. Now let's say one of them had a family tragedy that cost money and could not pay his portion of the loan, then the other is responsible for all of it. Tamam. This is the risk of being with a partner. طيب. Good. We're done with al-inan, al-mudarabah, al-wujuh. Now we go to al-abdan. Badan comes from like body, right? Al-badan, right? And so here, basically, it's going to talk about labor. Okay, labor. We don't have capital, but we've got time. Okay. So he says here, وَالرَّابِعُ شَرِكَةُ الْأَبْدَانِ وَهِيَ أَنْ يَشْتَرِكَ, both of them, okay, to partner up, فِيمَا يَتَمَلَّكَانِ بِأَبْدَانِهِمَا, whatever they own from their bodies, in terms of labor, مِنْ مُبَاحٍ كَاصْطِيَادٍ وَنَحْوِهِ, like fishing and stuff like that. أو, the other type is أو يتقبلان في ذممهما من عمل كخياط, or they accept some kind of task, some kind of work, okay, like khiyat. Khiyat is what? Like knitting or carpentry or some kind of work. So this is what. So we get together. Okay, we're like, okay, you're a mechanic and I'm a salesperson. Let's get together and let's use our skills to sell people's cars or something like that. Okay, and we start a company. And basically, we sell people's cars and we share the profit. We fix them and we share the profit, something like that. I just made up a company right now, okay? People get into accidents, we take their car, you fix it, I'll find a sale, and we share 50-50 profit. Tamam? Okay, that's basically what he's saying. Did we put any capital? We didn't put any capital. Tamam? What we put is our abdan, our skills, our efforts. Okay? He says here, فَمَا تَقْبَلُهُ أَحَدُهُمَا لَزِمَاهُمَا عَمَلُهُ وَطُلِبَ بِهِ. Okay? وَإِن تَرَكَ أَحَدُهُمَا الْعَمَلِ. So basically here it's saying, if one of them agreed on a task, okay, then he has to do it. Okay? We agreed that he's going to do the mechanical stuff. He has to do it. Okay? But here what happens if there's a udhr? وَإِن تَرْكَ أَحَدُهُمَا الْعَمَلِ لِعُذْرٍ أَوْ لَا فَالْكَسْبُ بَيْنَهُمَا. So let's say he's the mechanic, I'm the salesperson. Okay? So we get a car and he's like, this week I'm busy, or I can't do it this week. Okay? What's going to happen here? Is it if he's مثلا sick, okay, and we get somebody else to come fix it, some other mechanic, okay, and we pay him, does he still get the same share? He's saying here, yes, he still gets the same share as long as he didn't do something. He's not being negligent, or he's not being lazy, or he just doesn't want to work. Okay, because this is a partnership, so we will pay somebody else to do it, or he'll be responsible to bring somebody else. Well, so whatever they agreed upon, but it shouldn't accept his kasb, يعني his profit. ويلزم من عذر أو لم يعرف العمل أن يقيم مقامه بطلب شريك. Yeah, he's saying that the one who's not able to do his task, let's say I'm not able to do the sales, then I'm responsible to find someone who does it. Or if we have an agreement before that if I don't do it, you do it on my behalf. If they have some kind of agreement, it's flexible there. But he's saying here basically, if one of them is not able to do his task for a day or two, or he's sick, or something happens, it's not your right to go take from his share. You can't say, oh, we were 50-50, but because you were sick 2 days, I'm going to change the share to 60-40. That's what he's saying here. You're not allowed to do that. Okay? So, al-abdan, he says here, this is a type of partnership between two or more where neither partner puts forth any capital, but relies solely on their labor to make money. Example, hunting edible animals to sell, catching fish from the sea to sell in the market, gathering firewood to sell. These are some of the examples that are given in the books of fiqh, the older books. The labor must be for something permissible. Obviously, you can't do something muharram, then your earning will be haram. Another form of it is agreeing to provide some sort of labor service to the buyer, right? Some kind of service business, okay? Like tailor, plumber, carpenter, blacksmith, painter, building, etc. Mathalan, two painters get together, let's just paint people's houses. Or whatever, two people are like, let's start a snow shoveling company. We'll get together, we'll shovel snows in the southeast, we'll start a company and we'll share 50-50 and khalas, tamam. You have a snowblower, I have all the shovels, yalla, bismillah. So that's also the same thing, al-abdan. Whatever profit is earned is split between them based on the initial agreement. Yeah, they'll agree on it. If one of the partners agrees to provide the service to someone, then it becomes binding on all partners to fulfill it. So if we say we're gonna shovel the snow for all the street, okay, and one of us is like, oh, you know what, bro, my back hurts, then the other partner is responsible to do it, or whatever they agree upon. We get another person, or one person will do all the work, and he's not allowed to cut from the other person's profit, unless it's something agreed upon. So this is where they have to make it clear in their contract. Are they going to pay someone else to do it? And you're allowed this many مثلا off days or sick days or whatever it is. These are things that you have to put forth in the agreement. But no one can decrease someone else's share because مثلا someone has missed the work because of an acceptable excuse. And you will mention acceptable excuses in your contract. Just like in companies now, you can't not come to work for any reason, right? You have to have a legitimate reason, right? There's sick leave, there's death, there's some other reasons, right? You can't be like, oh, my kid wants to go to bath, I'm not coming to work. You can't do that, right? Some people do that, and they'll put sick leave, well, khalas. But you shouldn't do that. طيب. If one of them abandons the job, whether with or without legitimate excuse, he will still share in the profit, right? And I mentioned here, there's some khilaf here. Early Hanbalis deferred and said, if it is without legitimate excuse, then he will not share in the profit. Yeah, if somebody does it without legitimate excuse, he just doesn't want to work, okay? He wants to watch a movie and he doesn't want to shovel the snow, then they're saying his partner has the right to cut from his from his prophet, these things that are like في خلاف فيها, then they should put it in the contract. That's where the Sharia gives you flexibility, but you put it in your contract and you make it very clear. طيب, we're done with al-inan, mudarabah, wujuh, al-abdan. The last one is al-mufawada, and even some of the Hanabila actually don't count this as a type of partnership because they don't see it as a partnership. They don't see it as something that makes sense. What it is, basically, two people come together and they say, listen, we are partners in everything, okay? My company, your company, my car, your house, كل شيء 50-50, okay? طبعا, you can only imagine this if two single guys who they're really close friends or something like that. He says here, والخامس عفوا شركة المفاوضة وهي أن يفوض, right? وأفوض أمري إلى الله. I put my trust. I'm putting my trust in you. You put your trust in me. We are partners, okay? أن يفوض وهي أن يفوض كل إلى صاحبه كل تصرف مالي, everything that is considered wealth, okay? يشترك في كل ما يثبت لهما وعليهما, what's for them and what's against them, debts, profits, كل شيء, okay? تمام? Is there something like that legal here that you could do? Anybody know? طيب. Okay, he says here, so everything on them and against them and for them is فتصح, he says it's a valid contract إن لم يدخلا فيما كسب فيها إن لم يدخلا فيها كسبا نادرا, as long as one of those rare incomes is not involved. What's he talking about? كسبا نادرا, like inheritance or something that has nothing to do with profit or anything like that. It's something specific to that person. So you can't involve something like inheritance, okay? Because inheritance belongs to that person. You can't be like, hey, I'll take part of your inheritance, you take part of my inheritance, right? That would not be something allowed. And then he says here, I think that's pretty much it. طيب, yeah, let's read about this one and we'll pray inshallah. This is a type of partnership where two or more persons become partners in every financial action that any one of them takes. They equally share in both profit and loss. Khalas, buddies for life. So each partner is an agent as well as a guarantor for the other partners. Okay? You better know this person if you're going to do that very well and trust them. A partner is liable for the action of other partners. Therefore, any financial action taken by one partner automatically binds all other partners. They can make a decision on your behalf. يعني أنت وكلت, you made him a wakil on everything in your company. He says here, however, rare types of earnings and losses are excluded. Meaning if the earnings or losses by one of these partners was through a method which is rare, this is what they say here, nadir, kasab al-nadir, then other partners are excluded from it and will not share. For example, inheritance, some kind of dhaman on a loan or something like that. Yeah, the fuqaha, they explain some examples. This is added as a condition because the mufawada type of contract is very generic. It's very general, obviously, as you see, and expansive. Thus, a clarification on it, its restriction is needed. And I would say, wallahu a'lam, it would not be a valid contract, and you will see this in many of the footnotes, if it doesn't have specific things. It has to be specific. This is included, this is not included. The example here is giving Muhammad and Zayd have a mufawada contract with each other. Muhammad's father passes away and leaves him 10,000 as inheritance. Zayd will have no share in his inherited money based on the contract because this is a rare type of earning that is unusual. It's not part of his business or businesses. Example 2, Muhammad and Zayd have a mufawada contract with each other. Zayd is a guarantor on his friend's Uthman's loan. The time arrives for Uthman to pay his loan, but he is unable to do so due to losing his money on a recent project. Thus, Zayd is not responsible to pay it. In this case, Muhammad will not share in the loss despite a mufawada contract because this is an unusual type of financial occurrence. And you can see why some of the ulama, they didn't allow this contract. There's so many ways that it can go wrong, unless you make it very detailed. What would be the benefit in this kind of contract? For you. Would anybody here see a benefit in this kind of contract? عقد مفاوضة. تفضل. Married couple. أحسنت. So two, some people. So yeah, and I actually I've seen some couples do that, right? So both couples are working, right? Both of them have careers, companies, whatever. They get together, and the most difficult conversation is money, right? How are we going to split this? Prenup, mish prenup. We want to get married, all right? And so they'll say, okay, khalas, let's do a mufawada. Partners for life, and they trust each other, and they write this. And they'll probably, if you want to legalize it, you'll put it in a prenup. right? You'll say that, or sometimes they'll mention specific numbers. That's not a mufawada. Mufawada here is more like full autonomy on each person's side. So yeah, that could be a benefit if a married couple does that, and both of them have wealth and assets and land. Yeah, that could be Jamil. So there's our 5. So the only thing we have left here that he mentions is وَكُلُّهُمَا أو وَكُلُّهَا جَائِزَةٌ. So all these contracts we mentioned are what? Lazim or jaiz, they're jaiz. What does that mean? They're non-binding. So anytime if Adib's like, you know what, I'm sick of selling cars, let's just end the company. Let's you take your you take your capital and give me my profit, okay? And you take your profit, وخلاص. تمام? Even if you agreed on مثلا 1 year. So let's say in your contract you say, we're gonna do a contract, 1 year Mudarabah contract, okay? What the 1 year means is that you're intending to work for that long, okay? But let's say down the line, I find out that this guy is starting to take money and start other Mudarabahs with other people. Then I'd be like, you know what, Adib, I warned you about this, you don't listen, okay? Let's just end it, okay? We end it, and we talked about how to end it, right? How to dissolve the money and how to split the money, okay? Yeah. وَلَا ضَمَانَ فِيهَا. And there's no guarantee in it. إِلَّا بِتَعَدٍ أَوْ تَفْرِيط. Yeah. There's no guaranteeing here. Okay. Where is it here? Yeah. All of the above 5 types of contractual partnerships are optional for the participants, meaning any of the partners can cancel any time and free oneself from the contract. The partners in all 5 cases above are not responsible for any loss unless one of them either transgresses or was negligent. This is what you were asking about damage, right? Meaning generally any loss will be shared among them based on the contract. However, if one of them transgresses or was negligent with the partnership money, then that partner alone will be responsible to cover the loss from his own wealth, and others will not share in the loss. Yeah, and what if he scams me? I give him the 50,000 to go buy cars, okay, and then he goes, puts it in the stock market, okay, and he only takes 10 and he buys with 10 and he's making money from, that was not part of the agreement, and I find out about that, then he has to, and مثلا he loses all the money in the stock market, then he owes me all that money. Even though initially we said that I bear the loss, but he lost it through what? Through his own fault, not through the actual business that we started. Is that واضح? That's what he's talking about here. And just to kind of summarize the 5, so we said 5 of them, al-inan, these are all kinds of contractual partnerships, okay, not ownership partnerships. We said al-inan is basically 2 partners, they put money and labor together. Tamam? Okay, al-mudarabah, one of them is going to put money and the other one is going to put labor. Cool? طيب. Al-wujuh, basically both of them are going to go get some loans, okay? And then they're going to start a company like that. Al-abdan, basically they're going to offer some services together, 2 painters or whatever it is, okay? They're going to start a window cleaning company, whatever it is, okay? They don't need any capital. They just need to start. Maybe they have $200 each. They go get whatever it is, the cleaner, a bucket, مش عارف ايش, start small, and then they start purchasing from their profits. And then al-mufawada, we said it could be, there's actually 2 kinds of mufawadas. I didn't mention one of them, but a mufawada could be a combination of all of these. Some of them said mufawada, that's what it means. And some of them said mufawada is what I mentioned, which is basically we are like in it with everything. Profit, loss, okay? We're wakils over each other, and we guarantee each other, until death. Wallahu ta'ala alam. So that's basically, alhamdulillah, what we wanted to cover with sharika. We can take a question or 2, and then we will pray Salatul Isha. Any questions on the sharika? Tfaddal. Is it allowed to sell companies? Why wouldn't it be allowed? Remember, البيوع الأصل الإباحة, okay? So if there's no reason why you're not allowed to sell, there's no reason why you can't sell a company, right? The partner, with a partnership قصدك, or just you by yourself?
Like right now, these forms of companies, we have 5 types.
So these partnerships, okay, طبعا you have to, you're gonna discuss it with your partner, تمام, and you're gonna find some valuation, You can evaluate your company, and then you can agree. Do we want to sell? He might not want to sell. Okay, so you'd have to agree, or maybe he wants to sell you or buy your share, or maybe he wants to sell you his share. Whatever it is, كل هذا مباح يعني. It's all جائز يعني, no problem with it, right? Unless there's some kind of gharar, or there's some kind of ghabn, some cheating, or there's some kind of riba. Those are the main things. If you avoid them, there's no problem. Inshallah, that will be allowed. Wallahu ta'ala. Inshallah, next week we will cover al-musaqa wal-muzara'a. Inshallah. Wallahu a'lam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.